All right, back to whatever it is I was doing. Okay, so this game was pretty pathetic. Jeffery just outplayed MVL, then Jeffery made a horrible blunder. And, Jeffery horribly blundering isn't, I don't know. I guess Jeffery's just not used to playing 2,700 plus every round. I don't know. He's played a lot of 2,700s. So this was very disappointing for me because Jeffery was playing pretty well. And then this game, he collapsed. Okay, so they played 1,000 moves of theory in a Berlin. Very exciting. MVL's had white in this position like a billion times. Okay, and I don't really know the theory because I would never play such a ridiculous opening with either side. If you're white against the Berlin, you should definitely play D3. And if you're black, you shouldn't play the Berlin because, you're not a baby. You're an adult. At least 20, so it's close. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure this is all theory. So black has 2 bishops, and white has a 4-3 majority, and black's 4-3 majority isn't very good. And the chess.com won't let you castle after you've moved your king a couple of times. Okay, so this is all very reasonable. Everybody's happy. And in this position, after h5, black is at least fine. And here, MVL made a very bad move. So I'm guessing they're out of theory now because I've never seen bishop e7, a5. I don't know. White's position looks sort of normal. He wants to push his kingside pawns. Black's position looks a little odd, but it's fine. And here, white should play king g3 to maintain the balance, but he played a bad move, f5. And that bad move won him the game. Because Jeffery played very badly at this point. Here, black's probably better, but it's a draw. But he should definitely play g6. He blundered instead. And, what he did was so bad, it was ridiculous. The engine move is f6, which seems reasonable. If you play rook f1, then we could play like Jeffery did, but we would be a tempo up, at least. Okay, so f6, bishop b4. And the idea is just to take this. White's pawn structure is ruined, and the bishop just sits here. And the problem is this pawn is hanging. So if you're like, I don't want him to do this, and you do something about your knight, you just lose a pawn. And in fact, the engine does say this is like almost playable, but it goes here and saves the pawn. So black's just better here, because black's either going to do this, or black's going to win a pawn. And the bishop has a nice e6 square. What Jeffery did was unthinkable. He traded and then played g6. Never trade, but Jeffery doesn't listen. That's just a blunder. I guess he missed. It's really obvious what he missed for him. Not for you guys. You guys don't know what's going on. And probably Jeffery just missed the next move. And the reason we miss these moves, but usually 2,700 players don't, is when g6 is played, you're focusing on this. So Jeffery thought rook f1, e6, f6, something like that's going to happen. And he's analyzing those moves, and he's like, well, that's good for black. And he's right. And if he had played g6 in this position, it would have been the same, except white wouldn't have this crushing move that he had in the game, which Jeffery should see. Jeffery not seeing it is, frankly, terrible. And after trading, thinking he's opening up this for himself, white plays rook h1 and he's completely winning. And obviously, if the pawns are on h5 and h3, rook h1 doesn't do anything. But now it is winning. And then Jeffery totally collapsed here. When other 2,700s are losing, including Jeffery, fight hard and never lose and so forth. But here he fell apart. He lost immediately. Boo. CL Smith subscribed. Yay. Yeah. Yeah, HG's just incredible blunder because he obviously just didn't see this. Okay. Now, he kept playing badly, but, I mean, he's lost, but Rook G8's the only move. There is no other move. And the idea is, if you play Rook G8 instead of Rook F8, which he did play, then your bishop doesn't get trapped. So after F6, bishop here, and the knight moves, which is what happened, A3 and C3 are trapping your bishop. But if your rook's on G8, always play bishop F8. So Rook F8 is very bad. Rook G8 actually makes more sense anyway and keeps F8. Now, white has a big advantage, maybe winning, but this is losing it instantly. The game's just over. Now, if he trades, never trade, and takes on F5, yay, I want a pawn. Then check, bishop C5, and now you know what it's like when God has a gun. Okay, so Jeffery played Rook F8, which is bad. He should play Rook G8. Now he has to not lose a piece. If his rook was on G8, he could, take here. But as it takes there now, he loses a piece. So he played this move, which is ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know what to do here. Ugh. Ugh. I'm looking at what the engine says, and I can't keep my food down. All right, I resign. Jesus. Man, what the engine gives, the engine actually gives this eventually. All right. C3. Now Jeffrey's PO'd. I mean, he's losing a piece, so. C4 is explosive. I wonder if C4 is the best move. Yeah, the engine says every move wins. Right now it's saying C4. Taking this also wins, but C4 is mean. Okay, so he took, and he saved his bishop. And he saved his bishop. Bam! Man, truth hurts. And then he resigned. Yeah, I'm threatening everything. I don't even know what I'm not threatening. Man, it says it's plus 10. Truth hurts. Yeah, the rook has no squares. This rook has no squares. The king has no squares. And the bishop can go here, but not sure why you'd want to go there. So the problem is, if you play the obvious takes, then I play rook h7, threatening f7 check. Also, rook e7 check wins immediately also. So rook d7's forced, and then I just win a rook, and then I queen. If you play b6, which is the other move suggested by the engine, then I play rook h7, and I'm threatening to take this and so forth. And then it just says resigns. There's just no move here. Yeah. So after e6, he resigned. I mean, just really bad HG. It's lost the game in like one move. Then rook f8 is also bad. If he'd played rook g8, he could have fought on and lost in 30 more moves instead of in 4 more moves. Wu-Tex Clan. Man, they're nothing to mess with. Normally I would say something else, but we're on Chess TV. Subscribe with Prime. Prime. Yeah.